Being very, very quiet as we go through. That last bit of grass I just pointed out, or they pointed out to me, was recent mess made by elephants. This is kind of spooky, just going right through the jungle, knowing that there could be elephants just about anywhere. They just keep showing me elephant track after elephant track, and they're fresh.
I'm Les Stroud. I'm on a mission to seek out the true masters of survival. The last indigenous people from around the world.
Before they're gone. Before the past is lost. Before their world vanishes. I can learn their ways.
Sri Lanka is an island nation in South Asia, located 30 kilometers off the southern tip of India. Sri Lankans believe that the island is home to millions of demons, often spreading disease and chronic affliction through acts of black magic. This obsession with demons has existed for over 2,500 years. To be cured from demon possession, you have to do a devil dance exorcism. I'm on a journey to connect with two cultures obsessed with black magic. The Sinhalese fishermen and the mysterious tribe called the Veda. Direct descendants of the original Stone Age inhabitants of Sri Lanka, the Veda are believed by some to be half human, half demon themselves. I'm here to learn their secrets of survival and take part in their devil dance to experience their demons while exercising my own. The culture of the Sinhalese fishermen was decimated when a huge tsunami hit in 2004. Fish is their primary diet and economy. In every way, they live off the sea. Today, I've been invited to help out in what is normally a full community event. So they're making one big loop all the way around. There's about a half a kilometer of fish net that goes out. One end is already at the shore, and then we're bringing the other end into the shore and then just scoop all the fish in, which is quite a procedure once everybody gets involved. It's a bit of a commonwealth as far as how the boats go. Everybody has access to them. Everybody seems to have access to the nets. So it's really just a matter of everybody getting together. These are the people that got seriously wiped out when the tsunami hit. I'm in a fiberglass boat right now. They used to all be wood, but the tsunami destroyed all of the wood boats pretty much. So they had to rebuild them all. They remade them as fiberglass. Same design exactly, just fiberglass instead of wood. Under this searing tropical sun, life for the Sri Lankan fishermen is becoming extremely difficult. Fishing has never brought in as much as the country actually needs and provides a meager income for the locals. In 2000, the total fish catch was estimated at 300,000 tons. But since the tsunami, they catch nowhere near that much. The reality is, they do this every single day, morning, night, depending on how bad the weather is or how bad the current is. But if they can get out there, they do it. When the tsunami hit, it wiped out so many of the fishermen. There's so few left, and yet they're the backbone of the devil dancing tradition. And without them, it's dying away, along with a number of other traditions. I'm here to try and see how much of their culture I can experience, and yet, true to form, it's vanishing quickly. How long before the net fishing doesn't work at all anymore? When community net fishing fails, many of the local fishermen can still put food on the table by stick fishing. It's an ancient survival method still practiced today. But with the encroachment of the modern world, it's a skill that's disappearing fast.
Okay, do you keep these sometimes, or do you get a new one every time?
Keep this. We can use this one is 1 year.
Okay, for a year.
The
Okay.
second one.
Another kittel?
Yeah, another kit.
Okay.
Sri Lanka itself was covered with demons. When the British Empire came in, that whole belief system was sequestered down at the southwest corner. Since then, or at least in the last 30 to 40 years, it's also been squished down through globalization to a fine line along the coast. The final blow, and possibly a very fatal blow, was the tsunami. International aid flooded into Sri Lanka in the wake of the tsunami. The result was an influx of wealth for the poor people living in the hardest hit areas. Aid workers rebuilt homes with indoor plumbing. They paved dirt roads and even handed out televisions. And so the horrific tsunami was happily dubbed the Golden Wave. With the mismanagement of funds, the existing wealthy Sri Lankans didn't get the same support, and many lost everything. The poor became rich, but the rich became poor. Almost 40,000 people died in that tsunami, and 28,000 of those killed were fishermen. Fishermen who believed in demons.
With the wiping out of the fishermen, they were the backbone of the belief system. They're the ones who still held it as a very strong practice. Those fishermen kept the belief alive. And now most of them are gone. And no one's taking up the belief system or the practice after them. Their sons, they aren't doing it. Once they go, it's gone forever. It's called kodol. These sticks that they need for putting in the ocean to do the stick fishing. It comes from the marshlands because it's hard, lasts a long time.
The jungles and coastlands of Sri Lanka, though threatened as much as any natural area on the planet, still offer up the materials needed for survival.
Okay. Ah! Son of a... bit me on the lip. Those suckers hurt when they bite. Ow! Son of a... God! Ow! These ants are all inside my pants. The ants are pretty ferocious at protecting the tree, that's no doubt. They're still climbing in me. He's got some on his legs still.
Stick fishing has been practiced around the world for nearly 10,000 years. It was developed to satisfy the need to extend the range and reach of the human arm without disrupting the ocean waters below. There was a time when hundreds of fishermen would sit for hours along this coastline, hoping to feed their families with a good catch. Fishermen are on their own a lot, and fishing can be a dangerous profession. When you have a dangerous job, you tend to be closer to your gods and your demons. These men are the backbone of the Singhalese devil dancing tradition. Part of the belief is that they are most susceptible to demon attacks at dawn, midday, dusk, and midnight. Walking down a lonely road, deserted beach, or sitting on your stick fishing pole, you can be possessed anywhere if you're alone. This is another reason why the fishermen will go stick fishing in groups. There's always safety from demons in numbers.
This is not easy sitting, especially for my bum.
I'm sure these guys have no issues whatsoever with it. You get pretty used to it and you grow up with it. It's been an hour or so, hour and a half, still no problems, but also still no fish. Most of the men who are out here fishing with me are middle-aged and older. A couple of guys that are younger, but just the same, a lot of this is dying out quickly. Well, we're just gonna keep at it. Stick fishing for absolutely hours on end. They'll come out here for as long as 3, 4, 5 hours straight and just sit and stick fish, often usually through the night. I'll probably stay with them now for another hour or two, or maybe they'll call it, I don't know. I don't really know how they take it, whether they just say, oh, no fish today, let's go home, or they wait it out. All depends on how patient you are as a fisherman. On the end of this rod, it's just a tiny little piece of lead with a tiny little hook on it, no bait whatsoever, and it's just using it like a lure, just jigging up and down, up and down. see what we can find. I'm sure there's been times when just sitting on a stick like this fishing and you just see a big old shark come in and coming around. There's no question that's got to happen. That'd be kind of freaky.
It's time to take my journey farther, into the places I can't go physically. A journey into the realm of the Sri Lankan demons. The night's coming in, and in Sri Lanka, that means it's time for demons. The Sinhalese have an elaborate ritual for dealing with demons. After all, it's these demons that cause disease, sickness, and even personal emotional problems. The ritual lasts an entire night. It's the powerful and nearly trance-inducing devil dance. Before the tsunami, the tradition of devil dancing was already in decline. And after the tsunami, for the first 6 months, there were no devil dances at all. Slowly, the tradition is returning. But today, the Yakadura, the priest, performs only 1 or 2 devil dances per month. 25 years ago, there was a devil dance every single day. Tonight, they sacrifice a chicken. But centuries ago, their sacrifices were human. Demons love vice, anything that enslaves the human mind and body. And in this male-dominated society, women often fall under the category of vice. So devil dancers dress as women to entice the demons to the exorcism. The entertainment part of the dance is meant to keep the 100+ members of a spellbound audience awake for the entire night. In this way, it's believed that their combined energy assists the Yakadura in dealing with the demons possessing the patient. Devil dancing is a nearly 3,000-year-old tradition. It can be dark and demonic. Eventually, the dancers are successful in enticing 6 primary demons and 18 apparitions that cause disease. White masks are for women of high caste, red for bloodthirsty demons, blue for aboriginal tribes, native gods and deities, black for the men of the Moors. The sound of the drums becomes hypnotic. The beat pumps through the patient's body, my body. Each individual demon is summoned and appears as a masked dancer, who then speaks to the Yakadura priest and agrees he's been causing a problem. Then the Yakadura either asks, commands, or tricks the demon into leaving the body of the patient, freeing him or her from the affliction. The intensity of the constant drumming and dancing is dizzying. It's a visually stunning display that overloads every sense, and the entire ritual is focused on curing me of fears and disease. My personal devil dance goes on for 12 long hours. Leaving the coast, I'm heading deep into the jungle to meet up with the first inhabitants of the island of Sri Lanka, the Veda. They not only practice devil dancing, they are considered by Sri Lankans to be half human, half demon. Originally existing as hunter-gatherers, the Veda used their knowledge and skill of jungle survival to hunt with bow and arrow or slingshot and to gather wild plants and harvest honey. They've shown their skills to outsiders before, but no one has been willing to head out with them until now. A little bit of serendipitous hunting. They're going to set a trap for, well, it's basically a small game trap, hoping to catch just about anything. It's classic hunting and gathering. You've got to go after what you can while you're there. It's always catch as catch can. For the Veda, there's never a wasted moment. We set traps as we walk through their jungle territory. Even while traveling, they're constantly on the hunt for wild game. Venison, rabbit, tortoise, wild boar, and monkey are all considered bushmeat to these jungle-hardened people. Any game caught is commonly shared amongst the family, and clan. I'm sharing the skill set I've needed to survive in jungles around the world with men who live this survival every day. And some of them were literally born in a cave. Their high level of skill is obvious, but modernization is only a stone's throw away from this place. A place where they hunt wild game. The Veda were Stone Age until the Portuguese arrived in the early 1500s, and they continued to live in caves right up to 1986, when the government forced the last of them out and into smaller communities, within the last remaining pockets of the Sri Lankan jungle. They put the traps up around the bush, just sort of around the perimeter of their village. Whenever they need some bush meat, they also eat yams and things that they grow or gather. But just like any trap anywhere, they've got to come out and check the traps every morning, every night, to see whether or not something's in it, and whether or not the village eats meat that night. So they definitely incorporate rice into their main diet, while they incorporate farming now into their life. But this is relatively new for them, going from having lived in caves not all that long ago to come out, build huts, and now taken up farming. Things have changed. The government has taken away much of their land, and that's had a devastating effect on these traditional jungle dwellers. The oldest Veda have spent most of their lives living in a cave and enjoying the freedom of an expansive jungle territory for hunting and gathering. But that's no longer. Traveling through the center of the island of Sri Lanka, this small group of skilled hunters is taking me from bush skill to bush skill. After setting a few small traps, we're now on the search to find materials to make a traditional slingshot in a style unique to the Veda people. Going a long ways into the jungle here, just trying to find the items, the wood that we need to make this slingshot. You gotta be really careful when you stand still for a moment, because the ants in this jungle hurt. Man, they pack a mean bite. Through our travels, it becomes obvious to me that the Veda love their betel nut, and it's a necessity to ensure the strength of the slingshot we're about to make. They'll chew on the nut along with a potent, and in this case moldy, tobacco leaf, and add a cream paste made from lime. For them, it simply replaces smoking cigarettes.
You know, no matter how often I do this, the betel nut just doesn't get any better.
The Veda betel nut mixture packs more of a punch than any other betel nut I've tried in jungles around the world.
Oh, I think I just got dizzy from the betel nut. So me and the old guy, we're just going to chew betel nut while they do the work.
To stop the betel nut from overpowering me, their advice is to take more. I'm in the middle of the Sri Lankan jungle with the Veda, whose culture was one of cave dwelling and living as hunters and gatherers only a few years ago. Not wanting to be an outsider, I've joined them in the chewing of betel nut, along with their tradition of moldy tobacco leaves, and the effects hit me quickly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I am getting a buzz. Okay, it's working.
I can't swallow this stuff if I want to stay standing. I've got to spit the red slime from the lime, tobacco, and nut out. Even spitting takes a bit of skill.
He's a pro. Oh, I'm not supposed to swallow it.
The Cobavel tree sapling is peeled and shaved down until the stick is flexible and can be bent into a bow. The bowstring is made from the bark of a tree called arulu. The Veda's belief in demons is as strong as the coastal Singhalese. So it's important that no spells are recited and no magic used when making bows and arrows or slingshots, so that they're not cursed.
That was fast. The whole thing couldn't have taken more than a half an hour.
The traditional Veda slingshot is a method I've not seen anywhere else in the world. It's not a handheld stick like the slingshots that come to mind in North America. These are much more powerful, intricately made, and they look a lot more like a bow and arrow.
Ano mai? Beata tempatan ko dai. Meatun ta. Okay.
Okay. They use the slingshots to hunt birds and small game, and for protection from elephants. Should an elephant charge, they'll grab a small stone and shoot for the eyes.
Nice. Oh, they're laughing at me while I did the beetle net. I'm very dizzy, sweating profusely, shaky. And his advice was to have some more. Don't think I can. Also feel a bit nauseous too. But we've got the slingshot made, so that's enough for today. We can head out hunting tomorrow.
To bring me out of the effects of the beetle nut and the raw tobacco mixture, the Veda prays into a cup of water, imbuing it with positive energy, an example of the Veda's use of white magic. Tonight, I'll sleep off the effects. Tomorrow, I'll head out and hunt, slingshot at the ready, with Veda hunting dogs. Armed with only slingshots and utilizing small dogs to flush out game, the Veda hunters and I are headed out to see what we can catch in the Sri Lankan jungle.
Reality is that with so much of their territory gone, they're limited to a very small area, comparatively speaking, for hunting. If you're going to hunt, you need a long, large range of area to properly hunt, especially if you're going for larger game, because you want to feed your family. You can get birds down any old country road, but a couple of birds will not feed a village.
The dogs have caught scent of something and are gone in a flash. The hunt is on. The Veda are fast and nearly silent as they tear through the bush. The barking of the dogs lets us know we're close to something. While trying to flush out whatever the dogs may have cornered, a sharp eye has to be kept alert to the various jungle dangers. We have to scan the trees for leopards, watch the ground to avoid the dangerous monitor lizard or poisonous snakes. But it's the elephants that own this jungle. The Veda watch for them always, steering clear of a possible elephant attack.
The hunt was on, but they think the animals dug itself underground. The dogs definitely came on to something, but back hunting again. The guy with the natty hair is clearly a leader. Even if he's not a leader by family name or whatever, he's seems to be the swiftest, smartest, adapts to everything really quickly, fixed the gun, very good with my camera, and he's very decisive and quick in what needs to be done, when it needs to be done.
I decided to bring along about 7 guides just to show me the poison fishing that we're doing. I don't know how many leaves or roots we're going to need, but apparently is a little bit of a concoction.
The Veda know these jungles better than anyone, having trapped and hunted in this difficult terrain for centuries. They're still barefoot and wearing little as they slip through their own tropical paradise. we're retracing the steps of their ancestors, the ancient hunter-gatherers. Along the way, we take time at sacred sites to pay respect to past leaders.
This is the former chief's home, and it's also his tomb. So we're not to pass by here without honoring the chief. You leave a branch, and he's saying some prayers to the chief, and then we carry on.
For the Veda, the ghosts of the past are always near. I want to honor their heritage and their traditions, so I ask for blessings and safety as we continue on our travels. These skilled men are anxious to share with me a survival technique rarely, if ever, seen to an outsider: fishing with poisons.
I don't know how many leaves or roots we're going to need, but apparently is a little bit of a concoction.
Kukulu. Okay. There's a real minty smell to it. It's called kukuru. Part of the poison concoction for killing the fish.
Collecting the kukulu was easy, but now we have to harvest the most dangerous element of the poisonous mix.
Apparently the poison from this tree is so powerful that they won't let me try this. If I get some on my skin, I get a horrible rash, and if I get any in my eyes, like I just did, I just got some on my skin. If I get it in my eyes, I go blind, so, okay, I'm gonna back up a bit.
They're being really careful here. This is very poisonous. I wonder how many people have messed up and lost their eyesight because they've had this splashed into them. They tell me that if you get this in your eye, it kind of forms a web over your eyeball, and so you go blind, you can't use it anymore. And for them, how they relate it simply means that they can't go hunting.
You can always tell by the look on somebody's face and the look on their face when I had the poison on my fingers. They weren't kidding around. They were like, get it off your finger now, ripe it on the grass. They've had members of the tribe go blind from it, so must be some pretty strong poison.
This is another poison called karanda.
By chopping the bark away, we gather the soft insides of the karanda tree. The fibers of the tree are a key ingredient in making the poison. We also have to dig down to unearth the roots.
They need this whole root of this tree to mix with the other 4 ingredients before they have the right poison concoction that'll work on the fish.
While gathering the poison for fishing, the Veda were distracted by the possibility of finding honey.
All right, they're just watching the bees that are flying and checking out the direction of the bees. And that's classic honey hunting, same way it's done all around the world. You watch the bees. Bees will fly in a straight line. They don't curve around. They go in a straight line from the hive to where they're collecting their pollen.
We've caught a distinct line of honeybees coming and going from a distant hive, and we embark on miles of searching to see if we can be led back to the honey. By following the bee's flight path, we're led straight to the hive. Honey hunting is as old as the Vedas culture itself, being reported by the first colonial explorers who encountered the Veda tribe in the early 1500s, and their honey is notoriously good. The Vedas are fearless as they approach the hive. For them, honey is not only their favorite food, it's a valuable bartering item in the market.
This is a whole new method here. Okay, so they're not actually even smoking them out. He's just blowing in up the tree.
Do the bees, do the bees sting? Yes? Okay then. The bees sting.
All we're doing to calm the bees and keep them from swarming us is gently blowing on them. Perhaps it's the peaceful energy and the Veda confidence and calmness that's transferred to the bees, lulling them into a non-aggressive state. Whatever it is, it's working.
Go, there we go. Look at that. Sweet. This is only done 2 or 3 times a year. Let the combs rebuild. Got bees going up my pants. It was really interesting to do it without using any smoke at all, just blowing on it and putting my hand in and pulling it out. Never would have thought that was even possible. Right now, the eldest is offering some of the honey to appease the demons, so he's just doing an offering right now over the freshly gathered combs.
Time is taken to honor the bees, and we even close the hole back to protect the bees from weather and allow them to rebuild.
This is going to be good. Wow. That's a lot better than beetle nut.
Both the main gatherer and myself have received a couple of bee stings, the small cost of a sweet treat.
Everybody's having a bit of a piece, and a lot of it will go back now to the village for those at home. This was amazing.
After a successful side trip to gather honey, we're back on the path to carry out fishing with natural poison. And the path here is not as benign as it may seem.
We're still trying to make our way down to the spot where they figured dropping the poison, but on the way there, some of the trails obliterated by elephant traffic. It's also jaguar, elephant, and sloth bear. They worry a lot about sloth bears as well. Sloth bears have very long, sharp claws, so when they do get nasty, they can take your face right off.
I'm in the middle of the island of Sri Lanka with the jungle inhabitants called the Veda. We've set to work quickly, breaking the fibers of the Plusvel tree bark using clubs, axes, and even rocks. We're preparing the poison.
If somebody in the group has a pregnant wife or girlfriend, the poison won't work.
Preparing the poison in this way is time-consuming. So hopefully the results in the pond will be quick and effective. Each ingredient of the poison has to be broken down individually. And the desired effect is that the poisons will react with each other and with the water, either killing the fish outright or causing them to come to the surface. This young man represents hope for the Veda people, a youth willing to live the jungle lifestyle alongside of his grandfather.
So both top and bottom, they've begun to dam up this pond here, block the water from coming in at the top, and block the fish from getting out at the bottom, so that they can make the pool obviously more still and poison the fish.
At first they told me not to even touch the poison because I could go blind, but now they say jump in the water and mix the poison in. What I'm hoping is that it's diluted enough not to affect me.
So we're trying hard to get essentially the juices out of these roots so we can get it into the water.
I don't feel anything on my skin. Yet within minutes, the fish begin to react.
That was incredibly fast. Just within the first few minutes of getting the poison in the water, fish have started to float to the surface. Just little ones, which is all they promised in this little stream anyway, was that we would find just small ones, but they're starting to come up already.
The fish react as if the oxygen has been removed from the water. On their sides or their backs, they struggle to the surface, seemingly searching for air.
We knew in coming here that this
pond was just going to have little small fish, but sometimes they can do this in ponds and pull out fish like this with the same poison, same method. And that's got to be real catch when they do that. This is a lot more active than I thought it was going to be. The fish don't just plop up to the surface and float there and wait to be picked up. They're actually actively going around and using a stick and whacking them as soon as they see them. One way or the other, they come to the surface, we whack them with a stick. One of the guys actually caught a real nice fish, about 8 inches long, tossed it across the creek to his buddy here, missed, and it went in the water and sunk, and it's gone. It's the one that got away.
Using flour, shaved coconut, and water, they prepare their food in a traditional East Indian style. During the right time of year, they can catch 50 pounds of fish this way. And this makes poison fishing a very viable method for feeding large groups of people who work together to make it happen. Today, it's just going to be a quick meal of small jungle fish. In a few hours, armed only with slingshots and looking for small game, we'll head out into dangerous elephant territory.
Being very, very quiet as we go through. That last bit of grass I just pointed out, or they pointed out to me, was a recent mess made by elephants. It's kind of spooky, just going right through the jungle, knowing that there could be elephants just about anywhere. That seems to be their concern anyway. And if they think it's something to be concerned about, then I'm concerned about it. They just keep showing me elephant track after elephant track, and they're fresh. Nobody's talking now. And they're very nervous about this. They're also watching out for sloth bears and leopards. But right now, it's just elephants that we have to worry about. That's all. We got an elephant up ahead.
After traveling through extremely dangerous elephant territory, I'm in a place deep in the Sri Lankan jungle. It's been used for over thousands of years for hunting and gathering, and it's here that the Veda people will show me their own dark version of the original devil dance.
How do you say in Veda? Fire.
Giniraja. Giniraja.
Giniracha. Giniracha. Bodhikanda.
For the modern Sinhalese who live far from here on the coast of Sri Lanka, the devil dance is the means to ward off the evil influence of the thousands of demons that cause illness and even bad luck. This is also true for the Veda. They go a step further. Their trance is meant to part the veil between worlds so they can gain access to key survival information. Dancing and singing for hours on end, they'll fall into a trance and communicate with their demons about where to find game and wild edibles to ensure their tribe's continued survival in the jungle. Coconut water is used to cleanse the area. The fire is meant to clarify the air of demons that you don't want before you call in the demons that you do. The Veda dance for guidance. They have no need for masks or costumes.
There's an absolute incredible difference between the way these Veda do their devil dance and the Sinhalese do their devil dance. Now here it's very crude and very organic, and with the Sinhalese it's a very beautiful, colorful, it's more like performance art, although they believe it very strongly and they utilize it for the exorcising of demons and spirits. This one, crude and rough and dark, and that's pretty intense. We're supposed to leave there quickly because of the evil spirits, and because I'm talking right now to the camera, I'm the last person on the trail. I think I'll pick up my pace.
There's one spot here, sort of out in the middle of the Sri Lankan jungle. You really feel like you're touching the past here. These guys have been out here many times before. They said as long as they've known, they've always come here and they've always stayed here while they've hunted. A bit of a height of land, you've got a good view all the way around. They also have rock caves that they stayed in as well, but this is a place where even whole families would come through and plan on staying here. There's lots of fresh elephant dung, even right up here, right on the top of the rock. They said that last night the fire, they kept it big to keep the elephants away. There's the guys back there having their morning beetle nut.
The Veda's territory has been reduced so much that the loss of traditional hunting grounds means the loss of accessible game. The same story that exists all around the globe for many Aboriginal peoples.
Haven't quite put my finger on the Veda at all just yet. It's tricky to try to understand the Veda way of life. On one hand, when I first arrived here, I was extremely skeptical, even to the point of being cynical about what I saw. But since I've had all this time with them, I found that within their own minds and hearts, they are still attempting to live the life they've lived for thousands of years. They certainly maintain their skill sets. They can hunt and fish and live on the land. They can evade bear and snakes and elephants. But for how much longer can they evade the encroachment of civilization? This is the strangest case of a vanishing culture that I've come upon yet.
Geographically, the Veda are only a short drive from the modern world. And according to the Veda leader, they've made a conscious decision to avoid cell phones, television, and electricity. Yet some areas are already set up now for tourists to come and experience the Veda culture. And this brings them dangerously close to becoming a human petting zoo, when all they really want is to live their traditional lifestyle. But unfortunately, they no longer have the available lands to live it in.
For them to properly and truly hunt, they've got to travel much farther than they are essentially allowed to travel. It's an old familiar story. All around the world, it's the same thing. The Vedas exist on the brink of being yet another vanishing culture.
If, in the face of encroaching modernization, the Sri Lankan people can keep their belief in demons and practice their unique methods of fishing and hunting while they discover the technology of the new world, then perhaps they can continue to enjoy their own rich culture and successfully take it beyond survival.